Respected guests, dignitaries, resource person for the session, principal, and dear faculty participants, a very good morning and a warm greeting from NSFTID. Myself, Pooja Bekal, HOD, Department of Fashion and Apparel Design, NITE School of Fashion Technology and Interior Design, host for the day. Welcome to one and all present today for 6-day virtual faculty development program on fashion design and approach to creative teaching organized by NITE School of Fashion Technology and Interior Design in association with Bengaluru Central University. So let us start the FTP. So, dear participants, here are the some of the rules to be followed for the smooth conducting of the FTP. Please note that upon joining, you will have to mute your video as well as audio. If you wish to ask any questions, please use the message option chat box which will be visible on the screen. Use headphones for better audio. At the end of each session, a feedback form will be shared. Please note, feedback form will be shared only in chat box, not through mail or WhatsApp. Feedback form will be active only for 10 to 15 minutes. Please fill the form in time. E-certificate will be issued to only those participants who attend all the 6 days FTP program and submit the feedback form for all the session. Now, without further delay, we will turn the time over to our today's first session. So let me introduce and welcome Dr. N.V.R. Nathan, Senior Advisor, Consultant, Center of Management Development. Sir is having extensive experience in retail, skilling, and their interfaces. Sir has done PhD in Business Studies, Women Empowerment, and MBA in Marketing, MA in Economics. Sir is also a qualified ISO auditor. Sir is having 35 plus years of diverse experience in strategy management, operation management, business development, and channel management, distribution in the manufacturing and service industry. Sir is a recipient of Bharat Gaurav Award and Samaja Shri Award. Sir has considerable ex- expertise in the marketing and distribution of products through FMCG retail chains. Sir have been involved in the retail of natural products, natural raw material based products, for which he has facilitated tie-ups between government-run institutions and the private sector retail chains across India, which we can see on coir mats with traditional designs emphasized on Indianness. These coir mats are available on Amazons, which have become popular in all South Indian homes. Sir has also successfully set up 4 fashion institutes, including National Institutes of Fashion Technology at Hyderabad and Chennai, Army Institute of Fashion and Design, 2 management colleges, Hospitality Management Institution and Institution of Apparel Management, 35 ATDC centers and 315 skill development centers across the country, supported by MORD, NITE School of Fashion Technology and Interior Design, in association with Bengaluru Central University, is honored to welcome Dr. N.V.R. Nathan for the second day first session of the first of the kind 6-day virtual faculty development program with the topic fashion design and approach through creative teaching. Sir, We'll be starting the session with the topic on fashion, marketing, and merchandising. Mike, over to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
My gratitude and appreciation to Sandhya Ravi, and also the department for inviting me today for this program. And I would like to inform at the beginning that in fact, when I was the director of NIFT in the year 2001, we first time conducted the faculty development program in association with uh, one of the central government institute called ASCII. I think you're all familiar with it. And that was the beginning, that was the time when we actually decided that all centers across should actually teach the same thing, because otherwise it was happening that fashion is interpreted in different ways by different faculty in different centers. So to make it uniform and get the students to actually speak in one voice with the industry, we started this. And I see this a very good development at NITTE here, NITTE, and it's a good beginning. And this is also making good this COVID, where we can reach and make this time very useful. And the presentation I have here for this day actually covers more, I think just about 50% of what actually you are having. So at any convenient time, I will be very happy once your institute starts functioning. I can actually do a 3-day workshop on this particular subject, because it's very vast subject, and now actually more the reason that we need to actually focus, because the entire economy today stands on marketing and merchandising, because people are producing but unable to sell. So how do we actually get this across to the customers? That is going to be the biggest challenge, and you are all going to play a very important role here. And this is one of the things in COVID times. How do we actually look at marketing is what I'm discussing in this presentation. My first slide, please. Hello?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah, my first slide.
Yes, sir. What is fashion?
Yeah, let's start with what exactly is fashion. Now, we all know fashion is actually succession of short-term trends. We call it short-term because we look at 4 seasons and we actually prepare fashion for those 4 different seasons. But here I would like to say that though technically we are talking about 4 seasons, however, fashion today in the retailing has actually taken different forms. One of the things that you people should observe as faculty members is IKEA, a company which is into fashion retailing in a very large way. They believe in 26 seasons. What I mean is every 15 days on their floor, the entire merchandise change. So they actually play with colors, and of course they keep in trend of the fashion colors that are there to do. But the thing is, most important thing is, it's most challenging to merchandise for every 15 days for a store. But IKEA has been successfully doing it, and that is their key success term that is there. Because most customers, when they walk into the store, they wouldn't like to see the same merchandise that is there, on the rack. So IKEA is giving them a very good opportunity. They shift and change every 15 days. So this is a remarkable departure from the 4-season concept that we have. In fact, in the retail sector where I worked very for a long time, I was the general manager of Shoppers Stop in Bangalore, the first general manager there. And at that time, we were only talking about 2 seasons because we didn't have really that sort of reach to actually look in for 4 seasons. So we were only looking at summer and winter. So that is how the retailing was there in 1998. But things have drastically changed. Today, it's a very big challenge for all the retailers to have the best of the merchandise on the floor. So those who are into merchandising, this challenge is something very fascinating. Fashion is a reflection of change in physical characteristic. Fashion is something that is a fad, an acceptable trend in vogue, and all of us know fashion is something which is creative. Next slide, please. What are the characteristics of fashion? Fashion involves many changes, and there the picture which I have put up, which shows, how it is actually. Fashion is not just related to clothing. We know that it is applicable for every other thing, whether it's a car, a phone, or anything that is there which is used in day-to-day life, television. So it keeps changing. This whole thing is actually, adopts the fashion culture into it. So fashion changes seasonally. It's a planned obsolescence. This is one of the beauty of what fashion is. We actually make things obsolete by coming in with new designs, new creativity, new forms, and obsolete whatever was actually in the market. So fashion is influenced by religion, culture, tradition, media, and important personalities. They all play a very important role, particularly Hollywood, Bollywood, So they all play a very important role in fashion, and people look up to these icons, and sometimes they even copy what they actually see these celebrities wearing. So we should understand that the market actually is influenced by religion, culture, tradition, and importantly, the celebrities. Next slide. Next slide, please. So what is fashion retailing? It's a business philosophy that's applied to customer needs and market demand. So what the customer wants, we always say customer is the king. So we look at what the customer needs and then what the market has in demand. That is what is going to actually make us build fashion industry. So it includes all techniques, activities, planning, forecasting, advertising, which actually involves in promotion of fashion. It's a long-term and a short-term strategy, and for selling products and services related to clothing and accessories based on study of consumer preferences. Next slide, please. So fashion products and services listed here 8 things, the innerwear, outerwear, formal wear, casual wear, bespoke method. Bespoke method is slowly actually phasing out. Nobody has the patience to buy a cloth, go to the tailor and get it done. But there are people like me who still would like to walk into a Raymond's because we feel that the fit is very good when it comes to going into a Raymond showroom and getting it, done on a bespoke method. The reason is all the standard sizing that is there, which is there available on ready-made garments may not suit all personalities, because even today we are working on sizing which is more of European and American standards. So if you see the sizes that are there, many a times in specific to women, it is actually the fit is very bad, because they have actually all the fits are actually designed on the European and American standards. In fact, when I was director of NIFT in Hyderabad, our garment manufacturing technology students, we worked with Raymond's to come up with a body sizing for the Indian, masses, like the Indians basically. And it was a very successful study that was made by 4 of my students in NIFT. And today Raymond strictly follows that book when they create their own ready-made garments. And one of the reasons why Raymond's ready-made garments are very successful, their fits are mostly accepted by customers. That is because they have actually built the sizes like that. Generally we have sizes like 32, 34, 36, 38, but Raymond's also offers in between sizes, which means 32 means somebody wants 33, it is available in a Raymond showroom. So this is one of the success why today that company continues to stay in the focus of fashion. In the natural fabrics and man-made fabrics also make up for the products and services. Next slide, please. When we are talking about fashion, we mostly actually, see the picture of only garments and apparel and fashion accessories and things like that. There is one other area where it is very closely associated with the fashion. So you have fashion consultancy, cosmetic surgery. Those of you who appreciate, people having a dimple, don't be surprised because anyone who wants to have a dimple just have to go to a dentist, have a appointment with them, and you can get 2 dimples. And the secret behind dimple is they just twist one nerve. So that is how simple it has become. So you can actually do anything. And everyone knows in the industry, Sridevi went there for a cosmetic surgery to change how her nose looks. So all these things, so those who are in the fashion area, they actually probably get everything sculptured for themselves as the way they want it. So that is how this industry has grown, and that is how this industry has given opportunity. So image consultancy, hairdressing, transplantation, skin toning, everything comes under the fashion related service. So when we are teaching our students, we also need to actually cover at least one chapter on these things for their knowledge. So they will at least get an idea what all this is all about. Next slide, please. So let's look at fashion accessories. So leather goods, shoes and stockings, cosmetics, perfumes, jewelry, wigs, pads and strapping. All these are fashion accessories. It's a big industry by itself. And those of you who actually looked at brands which are there in the leather, you will see that there are lots of luxury products that are actually which are into the leather goods segment. And cosmetics. One of the things that you will see when you actually enter any of the large, multi-brand stores or Shoppers Stop, Lifestyle, the first thing that you enter, what you will see is actually the perfume section. One of the reasons why we actually had those perfumes in the beginning of the store is, one, it actually spreads very wonderful aroma into the whole store. Second thing is, as soon as the customer enters, they first see, beautiful varieties of cosmetics and perfumes that are available. And I think all of us know that in fashion industry today survives because 70% of the people who make decisions are women. And perfumes and jewelries are most attractive things to them. So very consciously, when we started Shoppers Stop, the entry of the department used to start with perfumes and jewelry. It actually gave us very good revenue to the store. And not only that, many of the people who didn't want to use also these things, they got enticed by actually, getting the aroma, the fragrance that used to be there around. And as a curiosity, they used to come, and then there are these testers which are there. And once they use the testers, they really get tempted. So most of the women, at least 80% of those who used to shop in Shoppers Stop, our statistics showed that they definitely visited the perfume and jewelry division, and they picked up, if not, expensive perfumes, at least, whatever body spray and things which were there. So they started using that. So it all, in retail and fashion, it all depends on how we actually present the product to the customer and how customer can actually get induced into a particular product. Next slide. Next slide, please. Now let's look at the fashion marketing versus merchandising, how exactly this happens. So in fashion marketing can be summed up in one word. It's mostly advertising. The goal of fashion marketing is to identify the target consumer and develop promotional strategies. If you just look at the left corner of the slide, you will see a 264 feet tie which is hanging from the 7th floor of the building. During my tenure as the general manager of Shoppers Stop, we did this tie because Bangalore is a sort of IT capital, and most of the people working in the IT industries were very fashion conscious, and wearing a tie was something earlier which used to be very much compulsory, till these people started landing in US, and completely their fashion consciousness changed. They suddenly started coming in shorts and t-shirts and things like that. But still, at that time, when we actually started this tie festival, we actually did this in association with Zodiac, who helped us to stitch this 264-foot tie, and it was hung from the 7th floor of the building. And we had a collection of something like 35,000 ties. An exclusive section was created for this tie festival, and we went on Guinness Book of Records, and a lot of publicity came from that. So we really developed that strategy to get people to know about ties. And during the tie festival, we also had people teaching whoever comes in. Many people don't know how to tie a tie, so we had somebody who were actually tutoring, about 3-4 volunteers we had on that time, and they used to teach the customers how to actually wear a tie. And it made a great impact. And what we could have sold in a whole year, the tie, we sold it just in about 26 days during this tie festival. So the impact that we make, with a product, it actually makes a lot of difference. So this is one of the highlights during my tenure as the general manager of the store. Couple of other things I did, which I will actually share with you going forward here. We compare the marketing versus merchandising. It is fashion marketing. The term fashion merchandising encompasses a broader swath of the fashion industry. In fact, fashion merchandise involves virtually every point of fashion industry, from design to sales. Fashion merchandise seek to increase profit through trend analysis, buying, and inventory management. Buying is one of the most important aspects of merchandising. If you all know about Walmart, Walmart don't make money in what they are selling. They do not actually. Is my voice clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's clear.
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Yeah. See, Walmart does not make money in selling. Walmart makes money in buying. You may ask how they make money. The thing is, because they buy in large volume, they actually negotiate the prices with the manufacturers, and they impress them to share the product at a lower margin. In the sense, what generally we would have been selling a product for 10 rupees to XYZ retail chains, with Walmart, we would have probably sold it at 8 rupees because of the volumes. So what they do, they buy at 8 rupees and sell it at 9 rupees. So very low margin they actually keep, and they actually operate. General margins that the Walmart used to have. I actually closely worked with Walmart between 1998 to year 2000. I was actually involved with a company called Nebula Systems in US, who were integrating their backend for inventory management. So that time I realized that they made margins as less as 2.5%. Their idea was this: when everybody, in the industry was very happy having 8 times turnover of whatever investment they did, Walmart believed in 26 times turning over the same money. So that's how. So 26 times into 2.5, it makes hell a lot of money. So that is what, the secret of, buying is all about. So those of you who are actually tomorrow going into the industry as buyers, and those of your students who are going into industry as buyers, this is one thing that they should learn: the art of negotiation. This is how they can actually succeed. They can actually go forward in their career. Next slide, please. So what does fashion marketer do? Does he do things differently? Yes, they do market research and analysis, which is most important, because first they should understand what the trends are in the market, and what is the consumer habit, and what sort of product is required in the market. Every opportunity that is there in front of them, they need to make use of it. So market research and analysis is one of the most important for those of us who are in the fashion industry. We need to understand very well about this and work on these very clearly. So brand design and development is the second most important aspect of a fashion marketer. They need to actually look at creating a consistent story and imagery for brand builds around. So that is what is actually going to sell. I remember distinctly, when Color Plus came into the market, their distinct story was golf ball finish material. Means they had a unique wash which actually made the fabric look totally different from all other things. And believe me, they were selling at 60% premium, and still that product sold. It makes very important that even the washes are very, very important. And I also distinctly remember, I think Sandhya and all others also have known Nagendra for a long time. He is known as the washerman of India. He works for Levi's now, and he is the person who came up with different washes for denim. He created, varieties of denim that, companies benefited so well. So he is now heading the Asia Pacific region, and he is the person who actually used to come and deliver guest lectures to all our NIFT students in all the centers. I used to request him. He was a good friend of mine. He continues to be one. And he incidentally is in Bangalore, and I will actually connect Sandhya and see that, that he comes and does a 3-day workshop only on washes. It's very, very important, how fashion can be evolved by creating different washes, making the same fabric which is there in the market look different. So that's an art by itself. So let's actually look at, and Vijay Kumar was yesterday talking about, I think, all these aspects. But those are theoretical part of it. But what Nagendra is going to come and teach you people is going to be the practical part of how we can make an impact with different washes. So next thing is to develop and manage advertising campaigns for the product. Here again, I would like to go back to my erstwhile firm, Shopper Stop. All of us know that, whenever we say fashion, it's all about color. So when Shopper Stop launched their advertising campaign, Mr. B.S. Nagesh, who was heading our Shopper Stop at that point of time, he spoke to the ad agency and said, I want all my ads in black and white. They were really shocked because they had come up with beautiful, colorful, brochures and advertising material. He said, no. What we want to communicate to the customer is everything is not black and white. You just enter Shopper Stop, you can make your life colorful. So that was the story. So the whole campaign actually started in black and white. Till date, I don't think any of you would have seen a Shopper Stop ad in color, because the only store in the world today still communicates about fashion in black and white. See, this is something remarkable. There are so many learnings that are there. We need to keep our eyes open and then check what actually is happening. So when we think of fashion, we think of only colors. No, there is things which you can actually communicate in black and white. The thing is, when somebody opens the newspaper, a half-page black and white ad about Shopper Stop used to actually entice. They used to go through everything that is written. So it made a great impact. Those days, it was also, a sort of a thing that, Shopper Stop being a 40,000 square feet store with 3 levels will be very expensive, whatever you buy there. But slowly, customer understood that we are selling everything on MRP. There is nothing sold above that. And then all products, whatever is available in the market, the same price, you can get it here too, and in a better environment. That actually made Shopper Stop what it is. So that sort of a campaign which developed that as a very distinct store from all others. So even today, I still believe and still trust that Shopper Stop is one of the best thing that happened to the retail industry in India. Pricing and distribution is a very important aspect, and determining what sort of a pricing that we actually have, it actually will be accepted by the customer. Here again, I will talk to you about Shopper Stop. We had all the expensive brands, Louis Philippe, Van Heusen, Color Plus, anything you name on leading brands, everything we had in our store. When a Louis Philippe shirt at that time used to sell at 1,850 rupees. That was the lowest of the prices that they had. At Shopper Stop, we created our own in-house label called Stop, which continues to be there today in all women's wear, children's wear, men's wear. It is there in every aspect of the store that is there. We created this as a mid-price segment so that the common man who actually walks into the store still finds a product which is within his reach. Almost similar looking fabrics, color combinations, everything, but under the Stop label. So Stop became a very well accepted brand, and today it continues to contribute over, I think, over 40% of the store's contribution may be coming from their in-house brand. So it makes makes us understand that is always there is a place where if you are able to convince the customers and give him what he wants, you will be able to succeed whatever is the label. So it mean that you need to have an international label or a national brand to make it popular. Next slide, please. Next slide.
It's already changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what does a fashion merchandiser do? Basically, what they do is, as I told you, uh, their role is important in the buying aspects. And as I told you, the Walmart story, money is actually in buying and not actually selling. But then there are certain of the things that fashion merchandisers have to do. So they need to actually look at fashion trend analysis and forecasting, and look at actually buying this product and services whatever is required, and it is their responsibility to actually properly within the budget that is assigned to them to buy for the stores so that the store is successful in all aspects. The buying and the pricing of the merchandise decides on the success of the store. So therefore, they have to be cautious when they are negotiating with brands, and they also need to understand how much of space they can allocate for each of the brand. Now, for the first time, way back in 1998, in Shoppers Stop, we created something called Shop in Shop. Shop in Shop is a concept where we allow brands to come and set up. We give them space, 200 square feet, 300 square feet. So we charge them per square feet basis, sort of minimum guarantee that they have to give to us for using the space. And then about 5% margin, whichever is higher. The reason why we used to do was he wanted brands to take ownership for their product, have their man in the front end to talk about their product, and also tell the customer what their product, why it is different from others. So this can happen from a person who's trained by that company themselves. Though at Shoppers Stop we had excellent front end people, we encouraged some of the brands who wanted good standing in the store to put some of their own people, train them and bring them up and actually sell the product. So this makes very comfortable for the brand because they are managing their place. So they can replace whatever is selling, and if some product is not selling, they can actually remove it from the shelf and bring what tends to sell. So this shop in shop concept started in 1998, continues today because many of the brands are actually, happy with this sort of thing because they can create their own fixtures, they can create their own branding within the store there. Then marketing and promotion, as I told you, is again most important, and how we actually, market this product. We need to have campaigns, store displays, visual merchandising in every store is most important because the customer who is actually, walking on the footpath sees that what is there in the show window and suddenly stops. Because if you have a good visual merchandise in the window, that can actually make a man stop and make that person to walk into the store. So that is the first what you call invitation that you are going to give to a customer. Come in, just have a look at me. So it's very important. Visual merchandising is the most important part again in the retail, and it makes a lot of impact. Next slide, please. The retail process has three stages. One is called the anticipation, which we call fashion forecast. Then we call identification, which is fashion research, and then satisfaction, that is when you successfully launch the product. That becomes satisfaction. How many customers liked it, and how actually they were able to uh, you know uh, get closer to the brand. It all depends on what sort of satisfaction that they get out of the product. Next slide. There are a lot of divergent views of fashion retailing because everyone says fashion is actually using creativity. There is another school of thought which says no, design should be based on market research. Don't leave it to creativity because it may actually end the brand into problem. So the other thing says sell what designer creates. But today's situation, they say make what can sell. It's very, very important. The third one is design centered. Fashion is actually design centered. But today, since the consumer is the king, it is market centered. So things have actually changed. So whatever is there in theory, in practice, actually it looks a little different. So we need to actually focus on both when we are actually coming up with a collection or a design. High failure because based on intuition. Many a times, designers have an intuition and they actually create a product and it will actually bomb sometime, in the store. So there is bland design and lack of creativity can also cause a lot of problem. So we need to be very cautious. Here I will tell you a story, about my own personal experience about high failure based on intuition. It happened so that, one of the, I won't name the designer because he's no more, but he was one of those most intellectual designers that we had. Based out of Goa, and he was a very great designer, and he came up with a collection actually which was for the summer. So we all know summer is more to do with colors like yellow, orange, and things like that. And his collection for that summer collection, actually for Shoppers Stop, it was for the in-house label Stop. So he created it with much enthusiasm, and a beautiful campaign was done for that, and we actually launched that product. But within 4 weeks, we found that somehow customers were not picking up, particularly the menswear. Yellows and oranges are something which men generally don't tend to pick up. So this flopped. Whereas the women's wear segment of part of it, which was there, was almost okay, like it was selling. But then after 4 weeks, we realized that, we need to do something. This is one other thing when you are in retail, you need to keep looking at what is happening to the collection that you launch. In 3 weeks' time, if it is not moving, you need to have a what you call plan B. We have plan A, if it is selling, you replenish. Plan B is if it is not selling, how do you actually promote it? So the plan B was to actually look at how to promote this. So every day morning, we used to have this, before opening of the store, we used to have a floor meeting with all the front end staff. So they will share their problems they had previous day, some of the successes they had the previous day, and then we put it up with the group to say how do we actually sell this. At that time, we had one person in the retail front end, very brilliant boy, very young, and he was not well qualified. See, this is another thing, qualification is not everything. Sometimes how you actually put your thoughts and how you use your brain also makes, an impact. Now, this person said, sir, I have an idea, sir. So I said, okay, what's your idea? Sir, give me 2 days. I will actually group with my teammates on the floor and we will create a small campaign. I said, what is the campaign? So he said, have you bought oranges today? I said, what is this oranges? No, sir, you just see, sir, there will be great impact. Then sometimes, we need to give, allow people the liberty. If they are so confident of what they are talking, give them that freedom to do. Because even if they fail, they will learn from the failure. So definitely the next time they will be successful. So allow somebody to become a leader. If they fail, it is fine. But if they succeed, then half our job is done. So I said, okay. Within 2 days, all over the stores, there is this poster which actually comes up, with oranges. And it says, have you bought orange today? So every customer who walked into Shoppers, they knew that we were not into fruits and vegetable business. It's only the apparel. So every customer is curious. Hey, what is happening? What's this oranges at all? Sir, you don't know, sir. We have come up with a wonderful collection, sir. So the person, whoever it may be, whichever section, this is all teamwork. So he actually takes that person, goes to the that particular section where this collection is. He says, sir, this is the orange collection for the summer, sir. It's been selling like hotcakes. So the customer, looking at it says he doesn't want to be left, without being fashionable. So he says, is it so? Are you sure? Yes, sir. So the product started selling. So in the next 3 weeks, we sold out on the entire collection. So high failures can be actually repaired if we have a good teamwork. This is what I want to tell. So it requires everybody's collective planning and efforts to make this happen. This is what is my personal experience. Next slide, please. So what is the new marketing concept for entrepreneurs today under the present situation? In marketing, we learned only about 4 P's: product, promotion, price, and place. Now, the current situation has made, 4 C's. What are the 4 C's? Co-created, communities, customizable, and choice. These 4 have been added to the 4 P's. This is called 4 C's. So the era of generation C, as in the context what I'm trying to tell you, it's connected, creative, collaborative, contextual. The customer is central to all effective marketing activity. So moving forward, I will tell you what is co-created, what is communities, what is customizable. But I am sharing the example of a product which I am currently marketing, that is FootMat. Next slide, please. From product to co-created. So what we did in Kerala State Coir Corporation Limited, we tied up with the National Institute of Fashion Technology for product innovation and development. And I will also come to NITTE. We can also work together on this initiative. And I would love NITTE faculty and students also in helping us to develop this product. I will show you what we have done with this co-created thing. So KSEC, for the first time in the industry, we developed the concept of producing the product based on seasonal forecast and colors. Everybody thinks, FootMat, what is there about FootMat? So generally, it's a very boring subject. And even if you go to any store which has FootMats, it will be piled up somewhere in the corner of that store of the home furnishing department. So not much of display or things like that. So let's go over to the next slide and see what we have done. This is the spring-summer collection we created. December, we were participating in an international exhibition, and we wanted to actually shock all the buyers who were coming there. First time we put up a display of a spring summer collection, and we created a mood board, and this is what the mood board. Of course, my erstwhile organization, I'm grateful to NIFT. So we actually did this with NIFT help and NIFT students, and we created this mood board. Next slide. This actually is a theme board on which we actually work for the home furnishing. So you will see, we picked the colors for that season and we created product. Next slide. So from promotion to the communities, what are the things that actually the next C? So large scale urbanization, you must have seen, as actually community living in multi-story buildings. So traditions like Rangoli, or what we call in Malayalam Pookolam, is slowly disappearing, because in apartments, where are you going to draw your Rangoli? So when they're individual houses, you can do this in the front. But in being, most people today live in apartments, I think more than 60%. In Bangalore, slowly the individual houses are disappearing very fast. So we developed this thing called the Rangoli collection, where we have got an option of 6 Rangolis. Today you will find it on Amazon, Coircraft Rangoli collection. It's been selling like hotcakes. We were actually amazed, because people do love to put Rangoli, and they saw this as the most important and innovative way of actually having it in their home. Some of them have gone to the extent of placing this Rangoli mat in the puja room. That is most unexpected. See, we make products, for particular reasons, but there are people who can actually, show ways where innovatively they can use for that same product in a different way. So these are things that have been happening. So the 4 C's, I personally found success in the 4C theory, and I have actually started. One is, the collaborative effort we are doing, and then this from promotion to communities, we came up with this. Next slide, please. The COVID-19 has been a sort of pandemic, has caused so much of fear in people, and it's been making us very defensive. And we thought that let us look at using this as an opportunity marketing. From price to customizable, we created these 2 mats. One you see there, it's a 4 feet red mat. The other one is a 5 feet green mat. And then you also have a dry mat which is there in the tray. What we do is we pour 2 liters of water, which is actually diluted with 50 ml of Dettol or any other disinfectant, and pour it on the mat. So people who are coming from outside into the store or into the office or into your home comes and actually they clean their footwear on this wet mat, and then they step into the dry mat and then dry their legs into it. So this I call as an opportunity marketing. So this is customizable. We've customized it for a particular purpose. Today, many hospitals, COVID hospitals are using this, because the first line of defense for them for not entering, bacteria not entering, is is eliminated by this product. Next slide. Then the product by choice. So what is this choice? Everybody knows, coir is used only for a foot mat. So for the first time, we are attempting to come up with beautiful paintings. Kerala is known as God's own country. So we said we'll start from there. So we picked up some 6 of the best of the scenic pictures, and it is screen printed on a mat, and it can be framed and hung in your living room, drawing room, anywhere. So we are first approaching many of the hotel industry to actually pitch in and use this product. And this is what, organizations, fashion institutes teach us. They teach us to think about product differently, think about application differently, think about promoting things differently. So this is the benefit of actually, getting into this stream of choice of education. So I feel fashion is something which has actually drastically changed the very structure of people's thinking, because it's giving them new ideas, new innovative products. So this is a great boon, and NITT, I'm sure, will produce some of the best designers in coming days. Next slide, please. So, fashion marketeers, those who actually learn fashion merchandising and marketing, they have choice of these four roles. They can become fashion marketing managers, they can become buyers, they can become merchandisers, and they can become FPR consultants, fashion promotion consultants. So I have just put this quote from John Orrick. He is actually the chairman of A.T. Kearney. He says, the nature of consulting business is changing. In 20 years, you could be a generalist consultant. Those days are increasingly over. Now, the order of the day is specialization and deep insight driven work. So, NITTE is in the right area of education. It's a specializing subject. It's not, yet another option, but it is something which is there for the most people who think creatively and want to be different. Next slide. Let's look at the functions of the fashion marketeers. Fashion market research, generally, one size will not fit all. So one of the things that I learned when I was in Shoppers Stop was, merchandising is a centralized function of a store. So we had our fashion merchandiser who was sitting in Mumbai. So he used to buy for all the 3 stores of Shoppers Stop. One of the things what we actually realized was the type of customers, the climatic condition, products and preferences were different in the western region compared to the southern region. Because in western region, that is particularly places like Mumbai, it is all full of apartments. So people don't have time to wash clothes frequently. So they prefer synthetics, so that, end of the week, they can just put it in the washing machine and, 95% it gets dried. So next day they can wear it for work. So preference of people there in Mumbai is more of synthetics. Whereas in South, we have very good weather. So we cannot wear synthetic here because we feel it's very hot. That is one. Second thing is, with this weather condition here, we also sweat. So synthetics actually will start, stinking. At after half day, it will start stinking, and your colleague sitting next to you may feel very awkward. So here we prefer to actually wear cotton. So whatever they used to buy there, I used to see that the products were not selling here in my store in Bangalore. Then when we made a research, what I did was I engaged 4 MBA students, wanted to do some internship to come and speak to customers about feedback on what they see about the product. So the feedback we got was we would like to have more of cotton here because that suits better for this condition. Though we had cotton, but it was not all that well spread. So for the first time, we started this section called Mix and Match, where you can actually have a kurti, then you have the bottoms which are there. So everything you can mix and match, and you can become your own. I mean, you can create your own a mix and match product and, design yourself what you want. So the mix and match section, we had it separately, about 400 square feet of dedicated space. We had it on the first floor of Shoppers Stop, and instantly in the first 30 days it became a hit, because we also offered a package of 3 kurtis, with matching things to go for it, salwars, and then the dupattas, and all three, if they buy together, it used to cost only 2,100 rupees. So that was a steal price at that time when you had to buy something like this. So only thing is, after the customer's request, we removed the package and we said, you buy any three and we will be in a position to give you at the same price. So that is one of the things that actually succeeded. So in fashion marketing research, we need to understand the customer side, customer preferences, and the type of customers who are there, and whether that same merchandise would actually fit and will it be able to sell in other markets also. It cannot, because each market has its own different types of customers. When we started the Hyderabad stores, we had to do a separate merchandising for the Hyderabad store. When we started the Delhi store, again, we had to change merchandise. So customizable, we need to customize these things for each of the store. So one size will not fit all. This is what I want to tell. Then fashion product management, particularly garment coordination and accessorization, again, we need to learn for different market, different types of things are required. And in South, a lot of people would like to have matching jewelries and things like that. So those are some of the product mix we had to actually alter here for the South. Then fashion promotion. One of the unique things that we did in Shoppers Stop at that time was the 50th year of independence was coming. So in August, for 1 month, from 1st August to 30th August, we had a program called Parikrama. Parikrama is actually pradakshina, going around one full circle. When you go to a temple, you go around. That is Parikrama. So what we did was we brought the full circle of artisans and artists and everybody, from a potter to a weaver. They were all live in our store, performing and making things. There was a guy who was doing bronze sculpting. So for the first time, people in urban area, they realized that they were able to see what each of the things that they are wearing or buying for their house, how it is made. So particularly, large number of childrens were brought by parents to show around the store. And of course, our kids section sale went up 2 times during that season. So these are some of the innovation, which we have to do in terms of marketing and merchandising. And fashion distribution, particularly logistics in retail, is very important, because when you book an order, that has to come before that season starts. And if there is a delay on the part of the person who is manufacturing it, then actually you lost the season. So this is something which was very important and which will continue to be important. Today, there are wonderful logistic companies available, and companies like Blue Dart, DHL. So they give very good service at any point of the country. You can get a product within 5 days. That's the the beauty of logistics. Fashion product positioning and pricing, I already had discussed about that. I won't delve in more this thing in this. Next slide, please. So major developments that have happened over the year, pre-19th century fashion for the rich and famous. So that time fashion meant only for the rich and famous, not for all the people. Post 19th century, it became mass fashion. Everyone wanted to be fashionable. So everyone wanted something. So 1930 to 40s, what we call the star fashion period. If you have read fashion history, you will see star fashion is one of the very important chapter. 1945 World War happened, the advent of minis. There was heavy shortage for fabric. People started wearing mini skirts, and that is the time also the casual wear started probably at that point of time. Even men were wearing shorts. So because of the shortage of fabric, it was there post-war. 50s and 60s, freestyle, baggies, bell bottoms, all this started. And 70s and 1990s, growth of multinationals came. So the uh, the demand for fashion started picking up after the 70s. From year 2000 to 2020, growth of department stores and malls made fashion industry a big hit. Now, I want to tell one other experience of mine as the director of NIFT. There is a subject called fashion history, which we teach our students. Every day I used to take a walk around the campus, morning, afternoon, and evening, just a stroll, go to each department and, wish my other colleagues, professors. Otherwise, everyone becomes busy once the class starts. So I thought that let me actually go around and meet them and say hello. So some of the times I saw some students always loitering in the corridor. Then I actually called them and said, "What's happening? You don't have classes?" "No, sir, we have class, sir." "Then why you are not attending?" "Fashion history, sir." "So what?" "Sir, we came to Fashion Institute because we did not like mathematics, we did not like history. Now here again you want us to learn fashion history, sir. It's very boring, sir." So this is the type of uh, ideas that the generation have, and how do we actually overcome this? So I actually sat with my fashion history faculty and also the head of the fashion design department. I asked them to share with me what they are teaching in fashion history. So one of the things that we actually saw was how fashion evolved in different centuries. So that is what it was all about. So uh, giving a lecture actually tends to be boring because yes, children hate history and of course mathematics too. I don't know for what reason. Um, so how do we actually overcome this? We need to come up with a new ideas. So that is a time I actually called my librarian, Dr. Rajshekhar. Unfortunately, he is no more. Just a month back, he passed away. One of the very committed librarian I've ever seen. And I said, we need to get some videos of things which are, movie clips where we can actually showcase whatever we are teaching in fashion history. So the Roman period, for example, if you see a movie called Ben-Hur, you will see what sort of garments they were wearing. So similarly, in Hindi, there were many historical movies that were made, and to all those had costumes because in movies they actually tried to create that era, what is required. So what we did was we blended the theory classes with these video clippings, and then we observed the attendance suddenly became 100%. So the way we actually communicate subject, I think as faculty, we need to actually hone our skills. We need to look at how to capture the mind of the students and how to make it interesting. So please create a very good repository of clippings of all these movies. In fact, BBC has a collection of wonderful historical movies which has a specific era of fabrics and other, everything. So I actually took help of BBC to buy those videos, and then what we did was we edited those clipping what is most required for us. Like the famous Richard Burton, Elizabeth Taylor's movie called Cleopatra. One of the most beautiful thing when you want to teach fashion history to people. These are things which we need to actually look at, in innovating the way we actually communicate to our students. Next. Fashion market size and structure. Uh, I won't go deep into this. This is something which you people know. I've put it in the slide. I've shared this slide. This will be circulated anyway to all the faculty members. So this is one of the part of the thing that we need to actually teach to the students what it means individually and how each of this are different from the other. Next slide. So marketing intermediaries, again, I won't dwell too much into this because after this, I'm going to actually show you a short movie, which is for about 7 minutes. So retailers, agents, distributors, wholesalers, advertising agencies, market research agencies. Am I running out of time?
No, sir, no. You can continue, sir. No problem.
Okay. The next slide, please. See, fashion concept, I have met several designers and I have met several faculty members. There is always this thinking of students with this, it is restricted creativity because we try to hone our students based on our concept, our thinking, and we try to actually restrict them in certain areas. So next slide, please. So the myth about the restricted creativity. Most people view creativity as very restricted because they tell that you have to do for a collection you have to do 7 garments, and these are the rules for that. So students sometimes get bugged. Sir, why are you actually putting these rules? So why don't you allow us to think on our own and try to actually produce? So what happens is, one is we want them to keep their creativity within the syllabus that we teach. I think that is one of the mistakes that we do. What we have taught, that is theory, but what they are actually producing is knowledge. So let's actually allow both these things to blend. This is one of the things that I would recommend to all faculty who are teaching fashion, that allow them to actually take their wings and fly the way they want. So because future, we are not going to hold their hands, they have to be on their own. So they think creativity as the production of wonderful new ideas, and then no one has ever thought of it before. This is indeed creativity, and even the most spectacular part of the creativity. Next slide, please. Many facets of creativity, slight change of old ideas can make it look much more powerful. So I'll show this in the next slide. The assessment of old ideas to see how they could be revived to fit new condition. Next slide. Here you see that the dress which is there, it's a very traditional dress which has been there for maybe ages that are there. But what actually makes it a little different is using the Madhubani paintings to create it to give a classic look. So one small little addition to what was already there, which could have been boring. This adds a little classic touch to the whole fabric and design. So this is one of the facet of a creativity, how you can actually recreate the traditional dress into a very fashionable looking product. Next. Yeah. The revival of old concept with a new way of delivering it. So you will see here, the classic look that is there. In middle, it's the modest look that was there, and then the modernism which is there. The same dress which is recreated in different way, and it gives pleasure to the woman wearing it when the fit is good. So that makes all the difference, the fit. Next slide, please. I need to acknowledge here that I was the founder director of the Army Institute of Fashion Design. This was the first show of our first batch of postgraduates who graduated out of my Army Institute. This is the costumes that they had prepared. So I am using this proudly for the slides that I have actually prepared. So concepts in human nature, we need to actually, colors are actually concept of human nature. When things are colorful, we like it. So how we can actually blend this and, the idea reaches the fat status and then gradually it dies. So original idea is which appeal to the human nature side of the young people. The idea should be successful and used in a manner which is fashionable. Next slide. Fashion never dies, it always re-emerges. This is something, though I was not a fashion student, but being a director of NIFT, I started learning all these things. And one of the most, best part of my career there at NIFT was that I was the only director of NIFT who was also teaching students. I used to largely teach fashion retailing because I came out of retail. So I interacted with each one of them, and today over 2,560 of my students, they are all on my Facebooks. We continue to communicate with each other. We know what everyone is doing, and that's how things are. So I find that I learned from them that fashion never dies. It all really emerges. Only the forms change, but the concept remains. So fashion is actually recycling in nature. Next slide, please. Creativity in communication. This is one thing, one creativity which I actually started, hating at some point of time, because invention of telephone made people not to write letters anymore. Email created opportunities to re-establish linkages, but SMS killed communication and language, because everybody uses short form. GDMRN means good morning. You need to interpret that. They don't even have patience to put the full form and wish you good morning. So how, when they literally take the meaning of short message system, SMS, and make a word shorter, this is something, appalling. The language, I think the next generation are going to have is going to be very real problem. Added to it, they don't have Renan Martin grammar nowadays taught in school. So all the more they are into trouble. So we need to guard this, and I think we need to guide them into the right communication. So creativity can sometimes be disastrous. It might actually kill the concept. So that is what we tell you the smartphones have done. It has killed that, the concept itself of communication. Next. The fashion concept can remove inefficiencies. So car design is one of them. We all know Ambassador and Premier Padmini. And later on, of course, to some extent, the Suzuki and Honda came and actually they made better cars. Next slide. Now, when better cars came, is the customer delighted? One thing that you will see is all cars are extensively tested in wind tunnels to reduce the drag and to increase fuel efficiency. Because everybody asks, kitna kilometer deta hai? So this is a big, fund that is being made of. Somebody goes to NASA, he's explaining about the rocket there. So at the end of that explanation, somebody says, kitna mileage deta hai? That man is shocked. So this is how we actually think about what we call rationalization of our thinking. So the result is all cars today, they look same because the laws of dynamics are constant. So what I'm trying to tell here is, fashion cannot change drastically. One is it has to actually fit the customer, and to fit that customer, we need to do things. Maybe sometimes the look may be classic. It's fine as far as the customer likes the fit. It is okay with it. Next slide, please. So a fashion concept, cost is a key competitive driver. So we need to actually look at success of luxury goods and designer goods suggests that people are willing to pay more if there is value that is added. So having surface ornamentation and things like that, adds value to the fabric, and definitely people will be ready to pay for it. Next slide. The quartz watch, whether it's a gold or a diamond studded or a 300 rupees watch or 90,000 rupees watch, everything only, shows you the time. But what is important here is who wears it and what he is wearing. It's actually differentiation is made in that. So Citizens to Rolex to Titan, everyone are cashing in on this concept now. Next slide. So the value of shift, if you see many examples I've discussed where of value shift that is happening. Original value might have been necessity, cost, efficiency, fashion, and adding up value can actually create a new value, dominating value to the product that we are producing. So that's in the hand of the designer and the merchandiser. Next slide. I think there are two more slides. I'll skip this. I want to show you an interesting film. This is about 3,000 history of retail, which I was invited as a speaker at NRF in New York in 2001. I was the only Asian to be the speaker at that time. And I made this documentary to showcase to them what retailing is in India like. And there were 630 people in the auditorium, and there was a standing ovation at the end of it. So I proudly present this. I also got a national award for this documentary that I made. Can we have the film, please?
People, 12 million plus retailers, an industry worth 200 billion US dollars. India has become the destination for fashion and lifestyle products retailing, with highest number of outlets in the world at 12 million compared to the 0.9 million in the USA. India is certainly a market which the world is eyeing today. India gave the IT industry a new direction in the late 90s and is now forging towards France in the area of fashion promotion. Several Indian and international FIs are setting up specialized division for retail funding. The history of retailing can be traced back to the era when barter system came into existence. People of each village and town assembled on the outskirts in an open field to exchange goods. This gradually became a weekly activity and known as Shandy Day. Since times immemorial, we can recall the retailing of entertainment in the fairs of the Indus Valley civilization, which gives us one of the earliest examples of retailing of services. The rich landlords saw an opportunity and opened up their backyards to store and barter a whole range of basic necessities of day to day requirements. This was the first step and the first phase in organized retailing. The introduction of currency gave rise to commerce activities, and small entrepreneurs set up shops to sell groceries, medicine, hardware, etc. The small kirana or general merchants, as they are popularly known in India, became an integral part of the daily lives of people, and retailing gained recognition as a professional activity. The year 1863 marked the entry of Thornton Spencer's into India, which set the ball rolling for professional organized retailing in India. The post-British era forced the government of India to set up a public distribution system in the form of fair price shops to distribute essential commodities like rice, wheat, sugar, etc. This marked the second phase of organized retailing in India. Closely followed by the PDS system, the cooperatives took up activities of stocking and selling goods and services. The success of the cooperative movement in India was further strengthened by the efforts of Dr. V.V. Kurian. The Gujarat Milk Producers Marketing Federation created history as almost an international branding in its product, Amul. This marked a great step in organized retailing. The third phase of organized retailing began with the entry of Bata, where specialized retailing gained credence. In the fourth phase of retail revolution, led by stores like Shoppers Stop, Food World, Nilgiris, the Kemp chain, Lifestyle, etc., flagged off the beginning of supermarket retailer, specialty retailer, the franchisee retailer, discount retailer, and the service retailer. The new avatar of retailing has acknowledged the customer as the Lord. This phase of retailing also has brought into effect two different categories of retailing, one being the store retailer and another the non-store retailer, such as direct retailing, catalogs and mailers, TV home shopping, and finally the virtual store or retailing on the internet. So now the customer is truly the king. With competition looming large in the retail management has also reached a level of sophistication. The success of any retailer, large or small, depends on how much he absorbs of the retail concepts. Retail management is all about providing the best services to the customers in terms of right product, right price, right place, and the right timing. Therefore, to integrate all these, a retailer has to work out a strategy and offer the best product retail mix. The elements of a retail mix, when put in the form of a matrix, will appear like the 9 planetary positions drawn by an astrologer to predict a person's future. They are customer service, location, merchandise mix, personal selling, retail strategy, price, ambience, store design and display, and advertising and promotion. Like the planets, the elements of retail mix also contribute to the success of a retail store, both individually and collectively. Therefore, to achieve success, we need committed retail management. With the glamour, glitz, attractive pay packages, incentives, etc., retail management is a sure visa to the new world of opportunities for one and all. The future of retail is bright in India. The future for growth of retail services such as business automation, products and services related to store design and visual merchandising is expected to be in the region of 150 US billion dollars. It is the next sunrise industry after information technology.
I hope all enjoyed the 3000 year of history in about 7 minutes, and the 4 different eras of retailing, from barter system to the current situation. So I thank you all, and I am sure that I have made this session interesting, and I would love to come and meet all of you personally when your institutes contribute.
So thank you so much, sir. It was, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and experience with our participant. Indeed, it was an interesting session. Just a minute. Dear participants, please mute your audio and video, please.
Excellent session as always. Very, very interesting. And the video also is very informative.
Dear participants, please mute your audios, please.
Nathan sir, I have a question. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Nathan sir, I
Yeah.
have a question,
Yes.
sir. Now, with this kind of, this pandemic, how is it going to go further? Like, retail marketing, because all of us are so scared to go to the stores and, we're not moving around. And what's going to be the future?
Actually, it is there on my last part of this presentation. Since I was running out of time, I cut it short.
Okay.
See, we need to actually change the way we are looking at the situation.
Okay.
Now, this is actually disruptive marketing is what we need to actually get into. And please look at my last part of the presentation. In Kerala, we have started this process. You know that there were a lot of people who lost jobs working
Yes.
in the garment industry.
Yes.
So they have all gone back to their respective state.
Okay.
Now, the thing is, once everything becomes okay, they are not prepared to come back because they worry that any such similar situation can again arise, and they are at threat. So one of the recommendations we have made to the Kerala government is to create a complete garment cluster where we engage all these people who had gone from Kerala to work in Karnataka, Maharashtra, in the garment sector or any other sector. We create clusters for these people, and we develop the industry there under a cooperative system, like how Dr. Kurian did for the distribution of milk, Amul. We involved farmers. They were actually not only, they were also shareholders of the company. So on a similar model, we can actually create a cluster which can actually help those migrants stay in their hometown and work, and also contribute to their family. And at the same time, these clusters which are manufacturing product, I will appeal to all retail chains. See, earlier when I did something like this in East Godavari district, when there were a lot of suicides of weavers, you must be knowing. That time, what we did was we created 60 training centers with 20 machines each in East and West Godavari district. And we started training 40 women in each of these training centers. They used to come for 5 hours. We used to train them in complete garment manufacturing. Then at the end of 3 months, we created a cooperative society of these people. And the state government put up industrial sheds in Kakinada, all these places there in East Godavari district at different places. These people, 100 women will become one cooperative society. We will have 50 machines. They will work in 2 shifts. They are the owners. They are also the workers. No union, no provident fund. They managed it so well. Even to this day, they are manufacturing garments there, And Future Group supported this. Mr. Kishore Biani, I'm very thankful to him. Of course, some of my NIF students were there as merchandisers, so they also pitched in. So they started buying a product. They got this in-house label called EG, which meant East Godavari. And also, you must have seen one more label which is there called Srishti.
Yes.
These are all still selling because we created that distributed marketing using this cluster of women and manufacturing. I think going forward, the industry need to rethink. They need to actually, large export houses, they don't, instead of having 1,000 machines, 2,000 workers, they need to look at things small, create clusters, get this manufacturer there in the cluster in the same environment, give them all the benefits and take care of their lives. I think that will be the best thing. And one other thing is they need to very seriously look at domestic market. When I was the DDG working with Ministry of Textiles at AEPC, I used to meet all the exporters. I used to keep repeatedly telling them, please start your domestic brand because exports alone are not going to be salvaging your thing. But somehow they were too overconfident. Now you see with this COVID, all orders got cancelled. Millions of rupees of stocks are lying unsold. So what are they going to do? They have to dump it in the local market only. They are at the mercy. So there is this. All these problems are there. If they only had parallelly a domestic market already developed, there are few of the exporters who developed, domestic brands like Mufti and all. So they're successful. They're doing well.
Yeah.
So we need to actually take a very conscious decision and efforts to look at the industry perspective on how to engage people and their lives also.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for the answer.
Sir, with your permission, I would like to read out the question raised by our participants.
Yeah, please.
Participant by name Pavel Pradeep. What is the future of fashion retail post-COVID and the new normals? So many problems might arise, like people wouldn't be trying a clothes in the store in the fear of contacting infection.
Yeah, please circulate my PPT. I have actually in my presentation there because time is a factor because of which augmented reality is going to be the future of retailing. Augmented reality is, there won't be any trial rooms in the showroom. There will be only a mirror, and that mirror actually is like a screen. So all the garments that you have, that design, that will be scanned and it will be on both sides of the mirror. You go stand in front of the mirror, just by your hand movement, you just slip whatever dress you want. It will actually, you will see it over your body. So it will also show you what is that fit, whether, large will fit you or not, or whether it will suggest to you, seeing your body, it will automatically suggest what size you need to also buy. So this is called augmented reality. IKEA has already been into this for quite long. And almost 10 years back, one of my friend who came from US wanted to start something. He came up with this idea to do for all the retailers. But at that time, retailers were not willing to look at that sort of an expense. But augmented reality is going to be the future of retailing. Trial rooms will go, but there is advantage because in every large retail chain, there are, like if you take Shoppers Stop, for example, there are more than 3,500 square feet of space used only for trial rooms. Now all this space will vanish, more products can come, more new brands can actually come in, but the sales will also continue. So still people can try out whatever dress they want.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I have covered this in my PPT. Please circulate to all the people.
Yeah, sure, sir.
My mail. It is there on the last part of my. I skipped, I think, about 7 slides, which also talks about opportunity marketing. Like for example, the today's accessories like masks, gloves, and all, it's all become a fashion statement.
Yes, sir. Surely we'll share the PPT with our participants. So one more last question. Okay. Renuka has asked, sir, during this COVID pandemic days, many of the people have lost their jobs. So is there any option for the budding entrepreneurs related to retailing and merchandising?
I I have actually spoken to Dr. Sandhya Ravi about this. I have actually created two different varieties of entrepreneurship program. I would like Dr. Sandhya and your management team to actually accept this, what I have prepared. It is actually for the future generation, for creating entrepreneurs out of them. And with the present, Prime Minister's different schemes that are there, anybody can become an entrepreneur with an investment as less as 10,000 and up to 10 lakhs under the Mudra scheme, they can draw without any collateral security.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We thank once again, sir, for accepting our invitation and detailing on fashion marketing and merchandising. Dear participant, feedback form will be shared in the chat box. Please fill your feedback form, and feedback form will be active for 10 to 15 minutes only. Please fill the feedback form. Don't forget to fill your feedback form. And the second session by Dr. Naveen Bagalkot, Associate Dean, SISTI, Manipal Institute of Art, Design and Technology, on topic design thinking, will start at sharp 12 p.m. We all request you to join the meeting at least 5 minutes before the commencement of the session. Thank you all. Thank you so much, sir.